I was the
I'm
first pick as the hitters. If you had a
yeah.
pick, right, I would have been the first.
You would have been the first no
I
matter
would have
what,
been. Hey, you made it
but
seem
for
like I was the only option. I'm like, come on,
yeah,
man.
you might have been the only option that I
Yeah.
know of, buddy. There's not a lot of position guys from Central Illinois making it to pro ball.
Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center.
Well, welcome, folks, to another episode of the Diggle's Diamonds podcast. I am here, your host, Ben Diggle, with my intrepid co host, David Bentley. David, take a bow if you would. Do
Hello, everyone.
you have a sponsor for us this week?
I mean, we talked about this before the show. I guess we'll have to go with it. Kobelaski Tires for the best in tires. See Shanice Kobelaski. Little
You got to
Uncle
go see
Buck shout out
Shanice.
there.
Absolutely. Go see Shanice. Absolutely. Were you aware, by the way, I had never made the connection that both the daughter and the wife from Field of Dreams were in that movie.
There's a
We're
lot
in
of
Uncle Buck.
connections there. John Candy, Kevin McAllister, a lot of yeah, it's
It's
like
like a
the Kevin Bacon thing, like
yeah, I
the
was gonna
six
say it's
degrees of
like
Kevin
six
Bacon.
yeah,
Like they
six
were
degrees
all
of
in the 80s, 90s together, the John Hughes movies.
yeah,
A lot of repeat characters and actors. I mean, you got
absolutely.
John Candy with the cameo in Home Alone was key. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, you'll want to be careful divulging any personal information. Dave already figured out that Eddie Harris from Major League, he's already figured out where he lives in LaGrange Park. So don't disclose too much information, or Dave will find you.
He was my
Sounds good.
neighbor. I'd see him walking his dog, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, let me see your breaking ball. He was filming like a Chicago PD or something like that for like 5 years and just grabbed a house, a nice like $1 million house in LaGrange Park, like 2 blocks from me. And I did the double take the first time, and then I asked my neighbor, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, he's here." I'm like, "This is awesome." His real name's Chelsea Ross. He's an Oklahoman, but he's like, "Look, if I'm filming for a number of years," he was like on season 5 of that Chicago PD show. He's like, "I'm just gonna live here. I'm tired of commuting." So,
Nice.
Might as well.
yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, today is a very special episode. We are joined by some Pro Bowl players. With us today, we have Reed Berlingmeyer, who is uh, a graduate of Normal West High School and University of Illinois at Chicago, and now in the Rangers organization. Got up to AAA with them last year. Reed, if you want to take a bow, feel free. There he
Hello.
is.
Well,
Just a wave.
thanks for
It's
having
a,
me. I'm
it's a visual
excited.
medium, Burley. We got to use our words. We're also joined by another son of Normal, McCade Brown. McCade, also a Normal West product, went to Indiana University and got drafted in the 3rd round by the Rockies, and is still with them today, working his way up the ladder. McCade, if you would.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, my friend. And then we have with us both Reed and McCade are right-handed pitchers, by the way. So we felt the need to balance it out with a hitter. We could only find one, and that is Mason McCoy, straight out of Washington, Illinois, via Illinois Central College, the University of Iowa, and a number of professional organizations. He was a 6th-round pick out of Baltimore for Baltimore in 2017, and has played for them, the Mariners, the Blue Jays, who he made his big league debut with, and then last year with the Padres, and was up with the Padres as well. So, Mace, if you would.
I appreciate you having me on here. I was the
I'm
first pick as the hitters. If you had a
yeah,
pick, right, I would have been the first.
you would have been the first no
I
matter
would have been.
what, but
Hey, you made it
but
seem
for
like I was the only option. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
you might have been the only option that I
Yeah.
know of, buddy. There's not a lot of position guys from Central Illinois making it to pro ball, and the
Don't be
ones that do
stressed
don't.
out.
Well, it just means you're the best of the best, man. That's all it means.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's all we don't have. The Hannum is not as far along as Cowton yet. We don't have the hitting version of Cowton yet. So But well, guys, we thank you all for coming on today, and David and I have a number of questions for you, but um, let's start a little bit with kind of how you got to this point, because each of you has a really interesting story that I'm privileged to know. Um, you know, let's Burley, yours. I'm probably the most. I don't want to say unfamiliar with yours, but your process from Normal West to UIC was pretty straightforward, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't highly recruited really out of high school. I mean, I walked on to UIC actually my freshman year, and then ended up getting a little bit of scholarship money because two guys quit from our fall boot camp. And then sophomore year was no longer on scholarship, and then got a little bit my junior year. But it was, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. It was UIC, it was Heartland and Lincoln Land, and Chicago State, and that was really it.
Okay.
As far as who was on my radar. So went to
And
UIC
by the
as a
way,
walk on.
folks, it be to be clear, Burley walks on and still isn't on money as he's developing into what were you, a seventh round pick?
I
Is
was
that right?
28th as a junior.
28th? Who am I
I
thinking
went
of?
pretty
Chuck?
late. Yes, that was Cherney.
Yeah, okay. Charlie was a seventh rounder. Okay. Well, either way, you're still developing into a draft pick and on a minimal amount of money. Which just I mean, I don't think people understand like that happens. That is not uncommon in baseball.
Yeah, and I
Um,
mean, thankfully, I was on a little bit of academic money. That kind of saved me in the end, but I wasn't on 75% or anything really. So it it worked out looking back on it, but probably could have went and should have went JUCO to start out with, but I had the kind of stigma, I got to go D1 or die. But looking back, the way these JUCOs are kind of developing nowadays, there's really, a lot of really good options out there as far as development. But I loved UIC. I liked my 3 years there. We had some pretty good teams, especially my sophomore year, at 2017 team, but ended up working out. So
nice.
Was
Very
it the
good.
D1 thing, Reed, that made you choose UIC? Would that being
um,
the only D1 that was sort of after you, or I don't
yeah, I
know.
mean, I liked it. I liked it because it was close to home. I really, at the
Yeah.
time, I was going into nursing, and they had a really, really good nursing program, which was intriguing to me. My brother was going to be in Chicago as well. He was a medical student at Rush, so
Yeah.
he'd have been right down the road. So it kind of all unfolded and looked really enticing, along with their facilities. If you've ever been in that field, it's a pretty cool field
It's beautiful.
with
Yeah.
a real,
It's
really cool
amazing.
backdrop. They had just built an indoor facility, kind of a full infield with a little bit of an outfield. So that kind of drew me in as well. So it was kind of a combination of all those things that kind of pushed me to go there. And then I like I said, I did get a little bit of academic money. So
Gotcha.
Speaking of your brother, I was not aware that he had become a world class spinal surgeon and neurosurgeon until
yeah,
I was talking to Calton the other day. Holy cow, man! Jake is killing it.
yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself. So he's practicing now after going to school his whole life. So
Yeah,
he's he's finally out of school and enjoying what he does, and just had a daughter, so living the life.
nice, nice.
Is he practicing in Chicago, Reed? Chicago
He
area?
he's actually in Wichita, so he
Okay.
uh he went to he did his
Residency.
residency in University of Kansas,
Okay.
their medical program, and then he did a fellowship in Louisville, and then this year is his first year practicing at Wichita. So
All right.
Gene Stevenson got him. He always the Shockers are still stealing him even today. All right, well, let's move on to Mr. Brown. McCade, your story is a little more interesting than most, just because one, you were a multi-sport athlete that kind of had to decide, at a certain point, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep hooping or do I want to play baseball? But two, you were throwing 78 miles an hour as a sophomore, and now you're throwing, 99 in the last video we saw before you left K's for spring training. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So in high school, I was playing soccer, basketball, baseball.
I forgot about the
Going
soccer brother. Sorry.
Yeah, well, going into junior year, I thought I was going to play soccer in college, and then that's kind of when I had the velo jump uh, and started to take baseball pretty serious and look at that as the route I wanted to go in college. Um, so had some recruiting opportunities, but didn't really end up falling in love with any of the places I was looking at. So it
Some
was
guy
coming
from
up
Illinois
on,
Central College kept bothering you, telling you to walk on. You're like, no, I'm cooler than ICC. It's fine.
but I was coming up on the winter of senior year and I wasn't committed anywhere yet, and I was going to play basketball. And with that being the case, I had talked to Josh quite a bit, and we had both agreed that there was going to be a good amount of winter camps that I probably should be trying to go to. So made the tough decision to not go out for basketball senior year. But because of that, I ended up going to a couple camps, and one of those being Indiana, and was able to go back for a visit and ended up committing there my senior year as a preferred walk on as well. And spent 3 years there at Indiana. The first 2 years, I couldn't really throw a strike to save my life. So didn't play too much, but they had some faith in me and kept working with me. And junior year ended up having a pretty decent year and was able to get drafted with the Rockies. So
Talk a little bit about that transition into your junior year. David, did I just cut you off?
No, go ahead. I like your question better than mine.
Oh, okay. You finish up your sophomore year, and I believe that's the COVID year, right? 2020
yes,
was your
yep,
sophomore year?
it was, yep.
And
So we were cut short.
yep, cut short. And literally that summer, the only college league in America that is playing is in your backyard in the Colonel's Collegiate League. And you, a bunch of your buddies, came home and just threw fuego all summer at the corn crib. What did that summer do for you?
Yeah, that summer was massive. I was able to work with Josh quite a bit that summer too, doing lessons, while we were leading up to the summer league. So that was game changer for me. But yeah, I had two of my IU teammates come and live with my family for that summer too and play, and we got to get some good reps in and some home cooking too. I was able to put on a little bit of weight and stuff in the weight room too, which was really helpful. But I think that I was able to get some good confidence that summer and build off that going into junior year.
I was just thinking about it today, just how crazy that was. That was the only game in the country. And, so many, I mean, you guys, I forget who the other kid from IU was that threw gas. Um, I should remember his name, but I
There
don't. And then
was
you had,
Gabe Bierman and David Platt
yeah,
were, yeah.
yeah, Bierman and Platt. Yeah. And then you throw in Bowman, who was over there running it up to 97, and it was just insane. Um, so yeah, interesting story there. Again, folks, we talk about that a lot. When is it time to maybe give up some other sports? And in this case, McCade made the right choice and pursued baseball, and it's clearly worked out for him.
McCade,
Go ahead.
your velo jump in high school, did that come with like a growth spurt or strength training or both?
I think it was a mix of a couple different things. I did hit a big growth spurt from sophomore year to junior year. So that was also when I really started going to arm care at K's quite a bit and
Okay.
actually building up the muscles in the shoulders and everything, and
Yeah.
learning really how to move as a pitcher a little bit better, or even just as a thrower. And
How
so I think
tall were you
all
when you
that
were a
was good.
sophomore? Because you're 6'6" now, right?
Yeah. Sophomore year, I was probably maybe getting close to 6 foot, but I don't even know if I
Yeah.
was 6 foot yet. But yeah, and then going into junior year, I was closer to 6'3" or so.
I bet your basketball coach wasn't too happy as you reached 6'6" that you called it quits that last year.
Yeah, we were looking forward to that year. It would have been a fun one, but no, it worked out.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right, and then the hitter of the bunch, Mr. McCoy. I have been privileged to kind of ride shotgun with this kid through most of his career, starting when he was a freshman at Washington, and had big schools coming in to see him, and all the way up to everybody being dumb enough to take a pass on him, and uh, me getting fortunate enough to scoop him up to ICC, where he was a two-time All-American, and then moving on to uh, Iowa. So, Mace, tell us a little bit about your story and what the ups and downs were there.
Um, Kind of similar. I mean, I was fortunate. I came in my freshman year of high school and was able to. Played varsity. I started varsity all 4 years, and I was similar to McCade. I played basketball, soccer, and baseball as well. I played good. I feel like my whole high school career, I played well. I just didn't really get recruited. Kind of similar to like what Reed said, and then I think it was it going into my senior year, like or fall of my senior year, or something like that. I remember I applied for nursing school at. I also wanted to be a nurse, and I applied to ICC, and then that's when then you and Bear started talking to me about coming there, and I remember Bear saying something. He's like, "No, we didn't think that you would be like available or whatever," and you know, ended up being the best decision I've ever made. Getting to go there and then playing 2 years there and putting up some good numbers and actually developing. I wasn't fortunate enough. I'm still waiting for a growth spurt. Still haven't hit me. I mean, I just can't. It's just not. It's just not in the cards for me. I don't think. But I was able to put on some weight, get stronger that freshman year at ICC, and I think that kind of helped me with, especially arm strength. I was able to field and put the ball in play, but being stronger definitely helped me throwing across the diamond and stuff like that. But yeah, signed with Iowa. I had a really good, actually, what kind of put me on that radar, I think, for getting drafted was that summer in the Northwoods League when Coach Lou Lewis got me a 10-day contract, that temp contract with lacrosse in the Northwoods League, and that kind of I ended up playing arguably probably the best baseball I've ever played in my life for that summer. And I was like MVP of the league and everything, and that's kind of what put me I think on the radar. And yeah, fortunate enough to get drafted my senior year and playing on house money.
Literally on house money, if I
Literally,
remember right.
literally house money. Sixth round sounds good on paper, but not when you're a senior. It
Yeah. Nice.
ain't. Yeah.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, let's start here. What is the one thing that you know now, having been through college baseball, through summer baseball, through the professional baseball? What is the one thing that you wish you could tell your younger self that you think just would have made your life so much easier as a baseball player in high school? Feel free. You guys are all going to answer. So, anybody who wants to jump in first, jump in.
We're getting deep real quick right there.
Well,
Jumped right in there.
it was based on that exchange you and Hannum had on Twitter or Instagram, I think, where Trey posted something about delusional self confidence, and you were like, "This 100%."
Oh yeah, yeah. Self confidence is something that I kind of struggled with. I feel like I was a good player, but there was always I felt like I had to prove everybody wrong all of the time. They like never. So in turn, it made me really hard on myself, which I think that's kind of what helped me get to the player I was. But I think coming in, this is for me personally, like me coming in once I got drafted, you kind of realize like when you're in high school, you're the best player on your high school team. But then when you get to college, you're like, okay, now the best players on the high school team are playing on this college team. And then you get to pro ball and you're like, the best players in college and high school, like in the whole country and internationally are now playing on your team. And I think that's where like my self-confidence was like, I have a couple bad games and it becomes like, do I even belong here? I think fortunately for me, I was able to kind of harness the angry competitiveness that was within me to gain and work hard to gain confidence. I just wish I had that earlier on in my career, especially in high school, because I think it would have helped me. I don't know, mentally be in a better spot when playing. I mean, you guys are pitchers, so you guys do a lot of the mental stuff, but at least you can reset, I guess, at times. I feel like every day when I got to get up there and I'm like, I haven't got a hit in like 6 games. You got everybody throws 100, right? It's like I got to get up there and find a way to get confidence in order to hit the ball, and that's something that I personally struggled with a ton. I mean, I still do, but I'm better at it. Yeah.
Before anybody jumps in here, I want to point something out, and it speaks to my crazy brain that I still remember this, and it's probably a little sad, but This kid hit 564 as a high school junior and was still doubting himself. Like that's to me, that's insane. But it just speaks. Baseball wears on you like that. It's that game that tries to grind you down. You know,
Well, then those questions though of like, okay, you did all of that, but then like
yeah,
nothing. Like the big thing in high school, I wanted to be all state. Like that was like I wanted to do it, wanted to be all state, and it's like I did everything that year and I didn't get it. So then in turn, it was like, all right, so then what am I doing wrong? Like, am I not playing as well? Or that those are the questions. It's not like I got screwed. In my head, it's like I wasn't good enough to do that. I don't know if that makes sense. Like that's kind of what's
absolutely.
through my head. Yeah, on the confidence standpoint.
I gotcha. Burley, McCade, what about you guys?
Yeah,
I
I mean, I think.
guess. Oh, my bad.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go
No, you're
ahead.
good. You're good.
All right. I think two things for me. I think the first would be not being afraid to ask for help. And I know that seems kind of simple, but as you know, I'm a quieter guy. And I always felt like, especially when I was in high school, I could kind of figure things out by myself. Um, and that wasn't always the case. And I mean, looking back, like today, like in spring training, like it's like every day I'm asking guys, things like cues and whether it's a pitch grip or like a mental cue or just trying to squeeze every ounce of knowledge out and pour that back into myself, and learn from guys that have failed at higher levels than I've been at, and just trying to take in as much as I can and then apply it to myself. Where I feel like in high school I was very within it, just trying to figure everything out on my own. And I was fortunate enough to meet Josh going into my sophomore year of college, and that's kind of when things really started to click for me. Um, but I would just say, just continuing to be a lifelong learner and learning from others who have been there, so you can kind of expedite the process of development. So you're not forced to fail and then learn on the back end of it. And then the second part is just trying to find a routine that works, and stick with it through the good and the bad. And I feel like, especially in high school, I was trying so many different things, and kind of just throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what would stick. And looking back, if I would have just been consistent with kind of what was working for me, and bringing that to the park day in and day out, and it got a little bit better in college. But I feel like now kind of what I pride myself on is my routine. The day-to-day routine, just, whether, it's a quick, you kind of got to, call it like a rescue routine. You don't have, that much time at the field to do your thing, or it's, you get, all the time you need to do your routine. And everyone's routine is different, but, just trying to find something that works for you, get you ready for the game, mentally and physically, has been huge for me. And it's something, I feel like, especially in high school, I could have done a better job in it, and it would have definitely paid dividends if I could have done that in high school.
Very nice, very nice. McCade, take us home.
Yeah, I'd say I would kind of hit on like having a little bit of patience, no matter what level, high school, college, pro ball, whatever you're at, just having patience and understanding like, you're not going to see change immediately with whatever you're working on, or whether it be like in the weight room or with new pitches or anything like that, or velo gaining. It's not going to be, the next day you wake up and it's completely different. But if you give it a year or two and look back at where you were, you're probably going to see a big difference. So just having patience with the process.
All right. David, I'll let you fire one here.
Yeah, I got a question for Reed. Reed, what did you pick up or learn in indie ball that kind of got you back on track with the Rangers? Did you adjust your arsenal? Did you change your workout? Was it nothing? Just kind of curious about your road there.
Yeah, so I was with the A's, and I was going through rehab for my shoulder. I had a partial tear in my rotator cuff, and
Okay.
then had a little setback with my elbow. So they ended up releasing me in July of 22. And the day I got released, I signed with Fargo and the American Association. They were in first place at the time, and decided to go with them. And it worked out. Like we had a really good season that year. We won the American Association, but I really honestly that year kind of got my teeth kicked in a little bit. I didn't really realize what indie ball was all about. There's some really developed guys in that league, with upper minor league level experience and MLB experience. And it was really that off season going into 23 when I really kind of had to sit down and reevaluate where I was at. So I ended up, ditching my two seam. I went into 23 throwing mostly four seams, and then I added a cutter, ditched my slider, and then added a curveball. So yes, it really was a change in pitch arsenal. But I also had a pretty substantial jump in velocity going into the 23 season when I did re-sign with them. The first month of May was really good, was upper 90s, and was able to get seen by the Rangers at Pro Day at K's Academy that winter. They saw me there, and then they ended up signing me, I believe, the first day of June in 23. So yeah, I would say it was mostly just an arsenal change and just overall, a little jump in velocity that kind of got me back into affiliated baseball there.
Okay. I got a question for Mason too.
Hit me.
Mason, what are your conversations with your little brother who's a senior about? Are you guys just shooting the shit? Are you nitpicking his swing? Are you giving him advice on recruiting? I'm just curious, someone who's gone through your journey, and now you've got a little brother who could be headed in a similar path, who's got to be hitting you up with questions.
Yeah. We're pretty tight. Like we don't talk on an everyday like basis. But we're obviously brothers. We're pretty tight. And he is similar. He's very different than I was as a player and how he goes about his business. But he is similar in the aspect of like that self-confidence I talk about. Like the guy's 6'2", 200, 195 pounds, way stronger than I was, has way more juice than I have. Like he just different player, third baseman. Not he's way better with his feet now and his fielding, but is known for like he's better for hitting. But he sends me. I don't know how many times a week he'll text me or he's panicking, right? Like all hitters, they like hit the panic button so fast. Oh, I feel like trash, panic. So yeah, I have so many videos from him sending me stuff where it's 10:30 at night and he sneaks into a cage and he's hitting by himself in a cage taking video to send me because he's like something doesn't feel right. I do think he's pampered. Like unlike a lot of people in like that high school generation, like right now. It's all about the flashy, the elbow guards, Evo, all that stuff, and he's very privileged in the aspect of like I don't wear all that stuff, so I get it, and then I just give it to him. So he's got the leg guards and he's got the whole thing.
He's got the
So definitely,
headband, the long flowing hair, which really
yeah,
pisses you
yeah,
off.
not me. I got none of that. But no, I think the thing with him, we're just completely different players. And I told him, I'm like, utilize me as much as you want to. I try not to cross over a boundary or push things on him because he's got to learn on his own. I learned on my own. He can learn on his own. He can figure out his own path. I reassure him and give him confidence. Like all the tools are there. It's just a matter of can you put them together and can you do what you need to do and take care. Like his biggest thing is the classroom. Like he struggles in the classroom. Just wants to hit, loves to play baseball. Just classroom's not his thing. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing with him is just he needs to find his own path and commit to something. Like he committed to ICC and his big thing was he just had those second guesses, just like Reed said, like D1 or bust. I was the same way in my head. It was like, let's go D1, like let's do this thing. And then you start kind of weighing out options and like, all right, this is actually a pretty good, this is a good gig. And I think it just took him longer to realize what he wanted to do. But yeah, I tell him utilize me as much as you can. He doesn't utilize me as much as I would like him to, but
it's got to be good to have a mentor like you. But I mean, I remember being 17, 18, 19 and you kind of think you know
Oh,
everything.
100%.
And you don't realize till you're like 25 that you knew nothing. Not only
Yep.
did you not know a few things, you knew nothing. And
Yeah.
so, and you can't tell your younger self that. You got to just learn it as you mature. So,
Right. You start to learn. And his thing too is I went to ICC. My sister was an absolute monster at ICC. And so when he was like, I told him like that's probably going to be an option for you. And I said, I understand if you don't want to go there. Like I get that. You don't want to go to the same school your siblings went to.
yeah.
Like I could see
I
that.
don't.
But but yeah,
The
I mean
comparisons come in right away. I mean,
for
it's,
sure. And that's where I try to like again like tell him like you're not who I was. You're not who my sister our sister was. But just do you and be able to learn. But like you said, like he knows it all. They know it all.
yeah.
There you know.
Uh, just just a quick follow up to the McCoy family. College coaches, there's another McCoy coming, Maddox, and I'm
Yeah.
calling dibs right now. All right. He's not making it out of Peoria. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to jump to McCade for a second because McCade, I think one of the more interesting aspects of your recruitment was you had a college coach in the house. Not the same sport, but mom, being a college head coach that at his mom coaches volleyball at Illinois Wesleyan for everybody.
Okay.
Um, and what was it like to have a college coach, kind of advising you through this process?
Yeah. She was a big help in trying to understand what kind of questions I should be asking and in the different aspects of the schools that I was looking at, what I should be focusing on and what was important to me. But for the most part, she just kind of let me handle it and let me go through the process on my own and just maybe push me in the right direction here and there with the questions and that sort of thing.
Okay, very cool. All right, I got another group question for you here. What, in your opinion, is the one thing that the average baseball fan should know about minor league baseball? What do you think they would learn that would just blow their mind to know that that's how it's done in the minors?
Minor league is professional baseball. I hate when people are like, "Hey, when are you going to make it to the pros?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Minor league is professional baseball." Like, that's a little bit like of a. I mean, I think that makes me more mad than anything. I think it's just not glitz and glamour like people think it is. It's a lot better now than it was. I remember when I first got drafted, my paycheck in short season was every 2 weeks you got $243 after taxes, and that was before you paid clubhouse dues, and you lived at a host.
And what were your clubhouse dues?
It was well, so on the road they picked so like at the clubhouse, the clubby was like, "Hey, it's $10 a day." Well, it's $10 a day. Our clubby at home, you kind of like it was cheaper because the team would pay for food and stuff like that at the time. So it would be $8 a day or something. But if you play over a week, if on average, if it's $10, I mean, that's $80 of your $243 paycheck. I mean, you lose money. You're losing money.
Yeah,
Now it's way better now. All right. You got like living that has to get paid for. And you don't have to worry about living in some rando's basement. Paychecks are a little bit better. But yeah, I think it's not glitz and glamour. It's fun, right? You get to travel the world. You get to create my favorite memories ever were those grindy short season, low A ball. Like those are some of the best times I ever had. But it's not, you're not making a zillion dollars and you're living this lavish lifestyle. You're rooming up, you're bunking up in a hotel that's a 2-star hotel, Motel 6 or something. And again, there's regulations now, but I think glitz and glamour is like a big thing that people don't understand. When I told people how much I made, they were like, "What? Oh, I thought make all this money." I'm like, "Nah, that's not how it works."
unreal. Reed, McCade, what do you guys got?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. It's not as, you know, glamorous as everyone tries to act like, but I think another thing too is people don't realize like the schedule that we have is, we don't just show up an hour before the game every day and, that's what we're doing. We're getting there for a home game. If it's a 7 o'clock game, we were getting there around noon and getting the lift in and still kind of having the practice and the BP and all that early. And I know some of my buddies were always texting me like, "Oh, I saw you play at 7 tonight. Like we're hopping on Xbox at 2 o'clock. Like, you gonna be on?" It's like, no, I'm already at the field by then. So just the schedule of it's a little different than what I think some people expect.
It's a job, man. You just happen to work second shift. That's all.
Yeah.
It's an 8-hour job where you work second shift. 100%, 100%. Burley, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to, kind of piggyback on what Basin and McCade said, it's, I think the term grind gets, overused, far too much, but I mean, it really is. I mean, when you're playing 140 something games and, you know, you get one off day, which is on Mondays now, where you're playing the whole, 6 game series against the same team, which has helped a lot, as far as what it used to be, where you're traveling for every 3 or 4 game series. But there's Mondays when it's your off day and you got to hop on a bus and drive across Texas to get to the next city, or you're hopping on a plane to get to your next spot. So there really sometimes are no off days, which sucks, but it's again, it's part of the job. Kind of what McCade says, we're there around 1 or 2 every day for a 7 o'clock game. And the hardest part for me is as a reliever, on days I pitch, I'm taking my caffeine in the bullpen around 9:30 p.m. Getting ready to go into a game, and then getting into the game. The adrenaline rush hits you, and then it's just hard to unwind after the game. So there's times when I'm not getting to bed until 2, 3 in the morning, and then I got to turn around and do it all again the next day. So it's fun. At the same time, it is a job, and it can be grueling at times. There's up and downs. So I'm just trying to kind of, ride the steady wave, but it is, a quote unquote grind at times. So that's kind of, what it is.
All right, for the pitchers, what caffeinated or energy drink is proven to bump your velo by at least 5 miles an hour? What's the go-to?
I'm a pre-workout guy. So I'm not a chug a Red Bull. I'm not a Monster Energy guy. I'll just take my powder, just a scoop or two of powder, and take it to the bullpen with me, and drink it, probably fourth, fifth inning. So that's kind of what I got.
Yeah, I was a big Bang guy in college, but can't have those now. So I was Red Bull for a little bit, and then some of the guys I was playing with this past year put me onto the C4s and just been doing those quite a bit. But just tried the green apple one at K's. That one's pretty good. So I recommend that one if you're
Nice,
gonna try it.
nice. It's always cracked me up with that stuff. I literally, one of our kids at ICC, 5'9", right-hander, was 84 to 86. That's just what he lived at. And I watched that kid down 2 scoops of Hulk juice, just this green stuff. I don't know what I lived. That's just what it was called, was Hulk juice, and literally jumped on the bump and ripped, like, sat 90, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh, this stuff really does work. So crazy. David,
Well,
what you got?
well, before this show, Diggle, you and I bonged 4 Loco to get hyped up. So
I'm not going to sleep tonight because I was so tired today. I literally hammered a Red Bull before parent teacher conferences started, and then
oh,
another Mountain Dew during parent teacher conferences. So I'm going to be on the Burley sleep schedule, except I got to
Uh,
get up at 5 a.m.
that's a rough evening. I put my last kid to bed like 6 minutes before we started recording, grabbed like a regular Coke and just hammered it. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm focused.
Oh, yeah. You boys will learn later that you can't drink caffeine when you get old because it'll keep you up forever. Oh, David, what you got?
I got a youth baseball question for all three of you. Now, I don't know all of your marital statuses, but let's imagine that you all three have either a son or a daughter. My question is this: knowing what you know, how your youth baseball was, at what age are you going to allow that kid to try out for one of these travel teams that plays 40 plus games in the summer, $2,000 to $3,000 for the travel team. Is it 8, 9, 12? My son is currently 9, and this is the first year I allowed him to do this, and he's on one of those squads, Athletes HQ in Elgin. And I'm just sort of second guessing myself. Like you talked about, Mason, not about my at bats or anything, but as a dad, is it too early? Is it too late? Because I didn't let him try out for travel last year, even though a lot of his friends were. I'm like, no, dude, you're too young. This is insane. So what do you guys think? Mason, start with you.
Yeah, I have a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter, so I am in that realm of gonna have to start thinking about that. But I'm pretty biased to, if you're gonna go out and you're gonna work with them and you're gonna do things to make them better, then I think that's more important than paying all this money to play on these fancy teams. I do think that this is where it's like a fine line, because I think by playing the better competition and by playing better people, like, you get better, right? You surround yourself with better players, you're going to elevate your game, you're going to get better. Now, do I think, an 8-year-old playing travel ball is going to be like that crazy substantial? No, it's about a development at that point. So I think if it's more for and again, take this with a grain of salt, but like for maybe the parents that are busy, the dads that are busy all the time and don't have time to like work with their kid and get all this good work in, and like, okay, let's put them on this team that's gonna, maybe it's expensive or whatever, but they have all this indoor time and all of the things that we're gonna teach them this and that. Okay, they're gonna get good work in. Now, if I personally, like, I don't think I'm gonna put my son on like a team like that for a while, just because he's surrounded by baseball all the time already. He lives in it his whole life. The last thing I want to do is like put him in some crazy traveling team at 9 years old, and then he gets burned out and then doesn't like to play.
That's my biggest fear
Yep.
is burning him out. Because my God, I think I played like a 13 game season when I was 9. And I remember being perfectly happy, not wanting any more, any less. It was only house league. I went to Richwoods, played, Richwoods youth baseball. We didn't have a travel team till 5th grade, so we were 12. That was the
Yeah,
first time there was even a travel team to try out for, as with 12 years old. So
yeah. That's how. I mean, I played in house till I played NTRA Sunnyland in house till I was, I don't even know, 10 years old, 11 years old. My dad was like, all right, there's not like any competition. So he started his own little team. We played like some games around, and I played Legion, like same thing, like Legion ball. I played Legion ball for a
yep.
couple of years, just because summer baseball wasn't that crazy. And I played for Outlaws. Diggle knows about the Outlaws, and it was like, at the time, I think it was $700, and that was like crazy expensive to play for summer ball. And now it's like,
I
I
miss
don't even
those
want. It
days.
makes me nauseous.
It,
Yeah, it makes me nauseous to think
it's
about. And
it's 2 to 3 grand. I'm telling you. I'm a little bit older than you guys. I'm 47, but American Legion was everything. I played for Limestone back when it was just Richwoods and Limestone. Everybody else got to combine 4 schools, but they only let us join up with the Limestone Bartonville crew. But we were pretty solid. But it was everything. All the best players played there. Ryan Knox was on Peoria's team. If you guys know him, he's the AD at Heartland. I think he played up as high as AA, maybe even AAA with
Triple
Milwaukee.
A.
Yeah. That was it. Legion was everything. And I don't know if my mom and dad even paid. I think it might have been free. But it's so different now. Definitely. McCade, what's your response to this question?
Yeah, I was trying to think about what year did I start playing travel ball. And I want to say it was right about 5th grade or so, right around the same time you were saying. Um, but I don't know how much, it was costing then or anything. So thanks to my parents for always paying that and allowing me to play. Yeah, I don't think it was younger than 5th grade when I started playing, and I enjoyed it, and I didn't think it was super long seasons though either. So I like that sweet spot of 5th grade, and right as you're getting ready for junior high, we're kind of steps up a notch, and then you got high school following after that. But yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same way. I played pony ball up until I was 11, and then 11 was my first travel year. And even we call it travel, but we were just going to like Champaign and Peoria, for tournaments and stuff like that. But I think kind of like what Mason was saying. At what level does the competition kind of start to taper off? In the in-house Legion leagues, I don't even know if there is a pony league or if that's still a thing in Bloomington Normal, but I can't imagine, kind of what the level of competition looks like there, just because everyone's starting these travel teams so early. Six U,
Oh,
8U now. It's that's insane.
It's insane. It's
What are we
nuts.
doing?
There's a lot of
All
money
right.
being exchanged through hands too on that stuff. And I'd like to wish that it was for the betterment of the youth, but I don't know, man. A lot of dollars involved in all of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I think one of the more time-honored traditions is baseball is storytelling. And so wanted to dip in a little bit. What's your best story from all your time in baseball? It uh, can be in game, it can be, in the clubhouse, it can be, not even related to, something you and your teammates did, maybe went top golf on an off day or something, who knows. But I school appropriate. We've only sworn once on this podcast, and it was worth it. So do try to keep it no NC-17. How's that? PG-13 we can work with. But who wants to go first? Who's got a good story?
I mean, I'll just rip off one. I feel like that's a tough question. Like your favorite is tough. Like I feel like you have so many memories throughout, especially now throughout your career plan. But this one was when I got called up at Toronto. I knew that I was gonna have to do karaoke. Like there's always like something you have to do, and they warned me like, hey, like when you travel, you're gonna have to do some sort of karaoke in front of the team. Like just be ready for it, whatever. Well, we traveled. I don't even remember where we were going to. Oakland or Colorado or something, or we went to Colorado and then we were going to Oakland. Went to Colorado, flew there, never had it, like never did it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sneak through here, not gonna have to do it. And then we got on the flight to go to Oakland, and Kiermaier was like, hey, like don't forget, we've been on the flight for like 3 hours or something. We're coming up on like the last 45 minutes, and he's like, hey, don't forget, like when you get off of here, like you're singing, like you're doing karaoke. And I completely forgot about it. So immediately I was just like, give me some Bush Lights, give me something, give me something to get. I didn't know what song I was singing, nothing. Got off the flight. I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. We got on the bus, and they had like this huge speaker in the middle, all these like LED lights, and it was bumping. And as soon as I get on there, Kiermaier's like, McCoy, get up here. Like, you're doing this thing. Like, let's go, blah, blah, blah. He's calling me all kinds of names. So I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'll do it. And when I came out, my plan was to sing like Party in the USA or something that like everybody knows the song to. And I walked out, and Bo Chet was like, what song are you going to sing? And I was like, I don't know, probably like Party in the USA or something. He's like, oh, yeah, solid. He's like, someone actually did that earlier this year. And immediately I'm like, I can't do that. Like, this is the one shot. I'm going to do this one time. I'll be done with it. So on the way up, I was like trying to think of songs that I knew all the words to. And most of them aren't like they're, rap songs or country. I don't want to sing country. So, Tipping on Faux Foes by Mike Jones is playing it was playing already on the speaker. And immediately I was like, backed in by Mike Jones. Like, I know that song. And so I got up there, and they made me like tell a story, like some story about, they said, what do you do in the off season for fun? And I was like, I snow blow 2 schools at 4:30 in the morning for some money. And they were like, that's sick. That's so blue collar. Like they're all fired up. So he's like, what song do you want to sing? And I was like, I'm going to sing Back Then, thinking I'm going to be able to like look at my phone, make sure I don't screw up the lyrics. No, within like 10 seconds, they've had the song on, handed me the mic. And so I took Kiermaier's sunglasses off and I threw them on. And then I started singing the song, and the beat kind of drops, and then as soon as the beat drops and I start rapping, the whole bus like stood up, and then it started shaking. They were jumping up and down. It was so sweet. And there's a part in there where he's like 281-330-8004, and the whole bus was like yelling it out loud. It was the one of the coolest moments I've ever had. And then I finished it and I walked back and they were all like slapping my head and doing all this stuff. And they're like, that was the best one that we've had in years. They're like, that was unbelievable. So that was probably like one of the coolest memories that I'll never forget.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
All right, Burley, McCade, what you got?
I'm still trying to think, to be honest. It was funny that Mason brought that up because we had the same kind of tradition in Double A when I first got there, where if any new freshly brought up Double A player first time, after you were a part of your first win, you didn't even have to get into the game. If the team won, um, you have to sing. You get to pick a song, or a song is picked for you, and you get up and you sing, and guys are singing and dancing. I ended up doing "Bartender" by Akon, so I'll never forget that. But Nate Lowe was rehabbing with us that year, and I'll never forget his performance. He did "Friends in Low Places," and I mean, he got up in his sliding shorts on the couch, and on the we had like a table, and he was standing on there, you know, relatively uncovered and dancing around, and we were just having a blast with it. So I mean, just little nuances like that, man. It's fun, and yeah, I mean, there's so many memories. Mine aren't going to be PG-13 enough for this, but I mean, just being with the guys, man, it's such a fun ride, and you see so many different places with the same group of guys for the majority of the summer. They become like your family. You're spending more time with them than you are with anybody else. So I think, whether it's just playing cards before the game, or doing stuff on the off day, if you can, just things I'll never forget, and always cherish, is just that camaraderie of having teammates, and just getting to meet new people from all over the world, is really cool to me. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Reed. I'm having trouble picking, I guess, like one story, or having one that jumps out at me, but obviously a lot of funny memories and different things, and off days golfing, and we were setting up a blackjack game in the clubhouse here and there, and or poker games in the clubhouse and that sort of thing. But I guess none really jump out at me. But one of my favorite memories, I guess, just in pro ball, the one year I was playing so far, was we won. We won the first half, which the way the playoff thing works in minor league baseball is a little weird, but we won the first half, so we clinched the playoff spot, and we had a pool out in left center of the stadium. So one of the cooler things was the whole team running across the whole field to climb the outfield wall, and then cannonballing into the pool over and over again, and spending an hour or two out there just kind of having some fun. But that was probably one of my better memories in pro ball so far.
Which city was that, McCade?
That was when we were out in Fresno,
Okay.
California. Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say I knew that sounded familiar. One of my buddies was a longtime pitching coach for the Giants, and so they had a team in Fresno that when they were AAA. So, David, what you got?
I got a question for McCade. So you're with the Rockies. How often does it slip into your mind that if you ever get that call, you're going to have to pitch at Coors with a lot of grass and a lot of thin air where balls fly around? Is that like a recurring nightmare? You wake up a little sweaty occasionally, picturing that?
No, I get asked that actually quite a bit. But no, we hit on it a lot, and a lot during spring training and within the organization about how altitude is going to affect the ball and everything. And nice thing is both teams got a pitch there, and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah.
but they say I think it's like 25 or 40% of your pitch break's going to be taken away. So you definitely gotta be ready to adjust for that.
Yeah, it's a weird place. Such a beautiful place, though, with the Rockies in the background. And geez, to be a fan there, the amount of craft beer that is available compared to the other ballparks is it's a game changer.
I've heard our AAA stadium is even tougher with the altitude stuff to pitch at too. So
Is that
Where are
that'll
they?
be
Is
another
Colorado
that
interesting
Colorado
one.
Springs?
Springs?
Well,
Albuquerque.
it's Albuquerque. Yep.
Albuquerque? Okay.
Oh, there
You
you
want to talk
go.
about a launching pad? Woo.
They said it's like playing on the moon there. Everything
It
just
is.
flies.
It is stupid, stupid. But they do kind of prep you. I feel like it's like Albuquerque's really bad to pitch at, but like Hartford still like your
Hartford's
guys?
somewhat pitcher friendly. Yeah, that's our double A.
Isn't it? Is it short or no? Because I could have swore I thought it was a short
I
field.
don't think it's too short.
No,
No,
I don't know.
maybe left field line actually, but
Just skip Albuquerque when you make
yeah,
that place is, and it's a lot of grass too. That's probably as similar to Coors as you can get. That's for sure.
yeah. They make sure to try and prep you there in AAA and Albuquerque before heading up. So
Nice. Very nice. Well, Reed and McCade, this one is for you guys, and then I'll tie you in at the end here. You get the call. What is the one thing you're most focused on doing when you get that call finally? What goes through your mind? Do you call somebody first? Do you call mom, dad, grandma? Do you
Yeah, I mean, I
take
feel
off with
like I feel like there obviously be a lot of emotions in check just because it hasn't been the easiest road for me even up to this point yet. So I'd imagine I'd probably call my dad first. Probably between my wife and my dad. And then kind of go from there and just, try to keep things, in check. And I'm sure I've heard, that first, day you're in the big leagues, you hardly remember it because it goes by so quick. So hopefully, that happens. But, I think, like I said, I think there'd be a lot of emotions for sure.
Kate, how about you?
yeah, if that day comes, it'll be a tough spot on who I'd call first. I got, my grandpa's been a big supporter of my career, and obviously my parents as well, and then my wife too. So it'd be a tough decision on who I would be calling first, but definitely all three would be getting called. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It'd be a tough decision. So
All right. So I asked that question to get to this question for McCoy. Now it's not even a question. I just want you to tell the story of your call up, your actual call up, and your dry hump.
Which one? There's a couple.
Well,
I'll
the
tell.
one with Kellenick.
Yeah. So first of all, both you guys are gonna debut. Don't. There's no ifs. It's gonna happen. I feel like so much of this sport is outlasting. Like you just outlast people. I found that like to be as long as you're available and you're like you, McKay, you got hurt. I don't know. Reed, have you been hurt?
Yeah, I've been healthy the past 2 years though. So
I feel like that's the biggest part is just staying healthy and just outlasting and being available. But no, I got in 2022 I had best professional year offensively that I've ever had and defensively, and I got called up. I got called up for my debut. They made a big deal about it. I called my wife, called my family, like I'm going to the show, and flew to Detroit, right, for first class. Like they do it all, and just like you said, like it's a complete blur. And it's at, you're not getting a 10 o'clock flight in the morning. It's like 4:45. You're at the airport, But I get there and I got, meeting all these people that I've never met before, and I got my jersey. I got a jersey. I got everything ready to ride. I go on the field. I'm practicing, and they're like, "Hey, like you're not getting activated today." I was like, "All right." They're like, "But be ready tomorrow. Like it's gonna happen tomorrow." I'm like, "Cool." Whatever, fly my family in with the money that I don't have, fly them in. And then, yeah, next day I show up, I go to my work and they're like, hey, like, it's not going to happen today. Like, be ready tomorrow morning. This is the last game, the day game. I'm like, all right. That night I get a call. They're like, hey, like, you're going back to AAA. So I pray that doesn't happen to any of you guys. So I flew back. I was absolutely just crushed. But I think it was more, I wasn't sad. I was like, I was pissed. And I started to play. I played with, like, I was on fire for the rest of the year. And I got called up again, same thing. Called up, when I was in Vegas, pulled me out of the game, packed my bag. I'm laying in the hotel room. It's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm asleep because I got to get up at 4 o'clock for my flight. Phone rings. I don't answer it. Rings, doesn't answer it. They call my hotel phone. I pick it up. It's our coach. He's like, "Hey, like you're not going to the big leagues. We're going a different route." And I like probably said some things I shouldn't have. I was pissed in the moment. I was heated. I basically told him just quit screwing me around, and so that was it. Like it ended there. I didn't get called up, and then the next year, spring training, same thing. Everybody leaves for AAA. Everybody breaks for AAA. I'm still there. I'm starting in the game. There's like nobody in the locker room, and I play like 5 innings, get pulled, like the half inning or half the game stuff. And I walk up to a couple of coaches. I'm like, hey, like I don't know where I'm going. Everybody's already gone. Like, am I going AAA? Like, did I make the team? They're like, oh, we'll talk to you when you get in there. And so I left. I went into the locker room. Well, I see like I got team luggage, team jumpsuit, travel, everything. I'm like, holy, whatever. I made the team. I did it. I got like a couple players came over, congratulated me on making the team. 20 minutes roll by. After the game's over, 20 minutes, I get called in the office. Hey, man, we decided to go a different route. I was like, what? And then I think that year was the year it kind of like wrecked me. And I thought this isn't going to happen. Like I had the best year. It didn't happen. I had great spring training. Didn't happen. Like it definitely affected me the rest. 2023, worst offensive year, least deserving year I've ever had to get called up. And then I get traded. I'm hitting like 180 in AAA in Buffalo. And I get Bo Bichette goes down and they're in a playoff push. And they need a defensive shortstop. And then I get a call to go up, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I didn't think I was going to have a job, nothing. But yeah, the day I got called up, same thing. Like I didn't think it was going to happen. I get to the Canadian border, and you have to go and get a work visa, essentially. I get in there, smooth sailing, no problems. Computer shuts down. All the computers shut down. Oh, it's going to take us about 2 hours to reboot. And I was like, this isn't, I went outside, called my dad. I'm like, I'm done. I'm quitting baseball. Like, this is it. Like, it's not meant to be. I'm over this. I was like, if this finally is happening when I don't deserve it, and then all these things happen, like, this is a sign, I'm done. And then, like, 10 minutes later, one of the workers came out. He said, hey, are you going for the Blue Jays? And I was like, yeah. He goes, this is your debut. It's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm not going to let this ruin this moment. So they basically wrote me out like a whole work visa and let me go. And my family, my wife and my kids or I guess my wife and my kid at the time. Did I have my daughter? Yeah, she was a baby. I don't know.
Yeah, she
All
was.
blurred.
Yeah,
It's all blurred. But yeah, they were able to be there for it. They had a hotel room like in center field. So it was pretty special. And then, Coach Kelly at ICC got to come out to Colorado, and like my parents and my siblings got to come. But I think I was prepped, like a little bit more prepped, right? Because I got dry humped for 3 separate occasions that I didn't even believe it was happening in the first place. So the adrenaline wasn't really there. Like I was just kind of like, yeah, it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna. So yeah, I think that actually was a blessing in disguise for not allowing my emotions to be, too high and then try to go hit or whatever.
nice.
All right,
Well,
that was like
David, I don't
a
have
long
anything else
answer
for him.
to a short answer, so my bad.
That's all right.
No,
That's all right.
that's a good story to end on, probably, unless you got
Yeah.
something else, Diggs.
No, I'm good. I am good. My heart is full. So, gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time out. I know this is dinner time for you guys out there in AZ. So, go get something to eat with your wives and your families. And I can't thank you enough for taking time with us.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
for
Absolutely.
having us on.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
Appreciate
Nice
it.
to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you guys.
Reed, I'll see you, I'm sure, in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Sounds
Just
good,
remember
man.
when I'm up to bat. Just remember me, all right?
All right. I got you.
All right, McKay, good luck this year, man.
All right.
Appreciate it,
Best
you
of
as
luck,
Boys,
well.
guys.
good luck. I'll be in touch. All right.
Yeah.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Diggs.
See ya.
All right,
Thank you,
see ya.
guys.
Oh, and then there was one. Still recording. Yep.